We're live.
Hi. Hi, everybody. What is up with everyone? I'm not in the chat because I'm looking up something. All right, now I'm in the chat.
Big happenings today. Big happenings.
Big happenings today. Actually, too, I was watching the Olympics right before this. Didn't Sarah say last week that she was really into fencing? Because I was just watching fencing, and it is dramatic. Fencing is so dramatic.
I have not watched fencing.
So I'm watching.
But I definitely have thoughts on NBC's coverage of the Olympics.
Oh, you mean the evening show? Because I'm watching the Gold Zone. If you're on Peacock and you watch the Gold Zone, what they do is they go from obviously it's prime time right now in France, but they go from event to event live, and then if there's a gold medal match, they'll go there immediately. Like they'll just go from. It's really great because you just get to see everything without having to choose. It's curated for you. So if you're like, oh, because I walked away and it was surfing, but you're like, oh, I think I want to stay on surfing, you could go and stay and watch that. But I just kept it on gold, and it just goes back and forth, and you could see different things. Like I caught all the swimming already. Sorry, I'm not going to try and spoil you guys. And then I caught this morning I caught men's gymnastics. That was good.
See, I watched women's gymnastics the other night until the U.S. team finished theirs at the end of rotation 2, and then I went to my little daily recap to find out what happened during 3, 4, and 5 because I went to bed.
Yeah.
And instead, it was giving me the men's recap from the day before.
Oh, weird.
So I won't get the ladies recap from 2 days ago until today. And it's like, well,
oh, that's lame. You can look it up yourself on news. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Hey, Sarah.
Hi, everyone. I watch everything through YouTube TV, which categorizes things really well. And you can just flag the things that you want, kind of in your watch list. So I just avoided the internet because I wanted to watch the U.S. qualifying for gymnastics, and I wasn't gonna watch live because I was asleep. But then even yesterday morning, I was like, I have other things to do. I want to get those things done and then sit down and really enjoy it.
Yeah.
So that worked out well. There's a little part of me that's like, I feel like I'm cheating. It's more fun to watch live, but just with the time, that's just not gonna happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes I can get lucky on the weekends, but during this week, tomorrow for the finals gymnastics, I just have to just
not
avoid
stay off
spoilers.
The internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, if something's spoiled, it's not going to ruin my life, but I would really prefer to be excited and surprised.
Yeah. Yeah. You want to feel that exhilaration as if you were there. Yeah.
It's synthetic, synthetic live.
I just want them to regulate their commercial breaks into something normal.
So I was telling Amos that I'm watching on the Gold Zone on Peacock. So if you have Peacock, you can basically they're curating all of the important matches in any sport, really. So I saw the gold for swimming. I saw the gold for men's team. Or gymnastics. Sorry, I just walked away from surfing. Yeah, it's actually really good. I like watching it. And so in some ways, I'm not needing to watch the evening stuff because I've already seen some of the best. But
I've got the certain, there's certain swimming. I mean, gymnastics, everything. I watched some of the when I think the round 5 was Brazil and Australia. No, France was with Australia. It was Brazil and I don't remember the other team, but I was, kind of eating dinner and half on my computer. But I mean, I watched the whole thing.
Yeah.
But, not all in one snack. But then, then you get sort of here's what's happened today. Here's the, the U.S. versus every other country as far as who has the most gold medals, which I believe is still Australia at this point. But the U.S. is leading with the most medals overall.
It's pretty good.
It's so fun. And the opening ceremony, which took me a couple days to get through just because it's long, that was like the best opening ceremony I've ever seen.
It was really good. It was really like avant-garde.
Good.
Yeah.
Very, like very artsy.
Avant-garde.
I really liked watching Snoop Dogg hold the torch, which looked like a giant joint.
I mean, Snoop Dogg's been, he's
everywhere.
He's everywhere. They're like, oh, and here's Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
And Tom Cruise.
He's at the gymnastics. He's at the swimming. There's like
he's
5 Snoop Dogs.
He's at like the U.S. qualifying. Well, Simone Biles. I mean, everybody loves her.
Yeah. And what was it? Oh, LeBron on the boat. Everybody's like, did you when the athletes were on the boat, all the athletes.
Yeah. And he's at the flag bearer.
He's at the end, looking like, I don't know, George, whoever was holding the flag back in 1770, whatever.
When we declared something, I don't know. There was a flag.
Independence. It was long before I was born, Anyway, did you say that you like fencing, Sarah? Because,
I do.
That's what I thought.
I do.
So I just watched some because the gold zone, like the gold match was happening. And even the other day I saw a little bit of fencing. I don't remember, and maybe because I wasn't paying attention, it is so dramatic. And
it is.
Like the commentators, it was funny because twice now I've seen athletes kind of jump the gun. Like, oh, I won, and they didn't win. And they took off their mask.
Sometimes they do win and they pull off their, helmet. And I'm like, I didn't even see it.
I didn't see it. Yeah. They know. Yeah.
Like you just sort of go with it. Sometimes sometimes I'm kind of like that with hockey where I'm like, I've sort of missed some things.
I missed it. Yeah.
It's all gone too fast, but the team that scored knows it. So I'll just, I'll trust that they know a little bit more about this than me.
Well, I won't spoil what country, but there was a country that was very upset with the results of what I just watched. And they were like, the athlete was literally like looking at his fencing sword, like he was pointing at something. I'm like, I don't know why he's pointing. I don't understand, but there's celebrations going on over here. So, and the commentating is really good because it's just, I don't know, they hype up the drama. So,
I think even though I don't know what so much because obviously, if you're like an Olympic fencer, you're fencing a lot. You're very good at it.
Yeah.
You've probably been doing this for a very long time, but I don't know any fencers. I've never like gone to a, educational facility that had a fencing program that I knew of. So it's like, it just feels like this thing that emerges during the Summer Olympics for people like me, where we're just like, let's do this fencing.
Well, you guys actually know someone who did a little bit of fencing.
Really?
Yeah.
You?
Just a little bit. Not me.
Oh,
my husband.
You're kidding. Somehow that doesn't surprise me.
Right.
I'm surprised and yet not.
This was a long time ago, but
I bet he's got his fencing sword in that bookcase behind him in the office.
You should ask him tomorrow. Hey, I heard you're a fencer. He'll be like,
Yeah.
He keeps it at the ready just under his desk so you can grab it and face
It's just
the door.
that no one has asked him yet.
Yeah.
He's like, one day this is going to come up and I've got the sword to prove it.
Took lessons. That was about it for a little while.
I'll be honest. I thought curling was like a non-existent sport that was only existed in the Olympics. Then I moved to Alaska and there's actual curling clubs.
Curling, that's a good example. That's another good example where you're like, this is such a very specific skill.
Yeah.
You gotta want to be a curler.
Yeah.
Curler? Is that what they're called?
I guess so. Yeah.
Yeah. But you you got ice. Let's have some fun.
Yeah. Let's have some fun. It's like it's kind of like it's like an alternate bowling in a way.
Yeah.
A different kind of bowling and archery together in a way to me. When I watch
what's the one that people play at vineyards?
Bocce ball?
Bocce ball.
Yeah.
Sort of the same idea, It's like it's precision but also speed.
That was such a France/Northern California question. What's the game people play at
I
vineyards?
love how Eileen's like, oh, bocce ball. You know, a lot of other people are like,
it.
what?
And the
Don't
thing
you
is,
drink
like,
wine at a vineyard? Like, I don't get it.
Like, I grew up in Southern California. I'm like, what the? I don't know.
Well, by the way, I've never played it in my life. I just happen to know it because I think I've heard people say, oh, I'm going to play bocce. I'm like, I don't bye. Pass. I don't know.
It's not a hard game to play.
Okay.
It's, you know, it's
I'm not
almost-
looking
it's
down
sort of-
at
it's,
it.
It's like, I don't know. Not that I've played croquet a lot in my life or recently, but
croquet.
you know, just kind of one of those like casual lawn games type thing.
Yeah.
Croquet is actually pretty fun.
I know. Ask me about euchre someday, and I'll tell you about a real game.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a card game that's very specific to the Midwest.
Oh, okay. I've heard of it. Never
It
played.
uses about half the deck. It's amazingly fun.
Well, that's cool. All right, let me get my iPhone mirrored up here. There you go. That is so fun. I love this.
Okay, and I'm all ready and set up when you guys are. So
Well, I'm ready too.
exciting.
Eileen, what do you think?
I am good to go. Let's get
right.
this going.
Let's get the party started. Okay, I'll count
I
myself
missed-
in.
I missed
Wait,
pink.
unlock your phone. Try again. What did I get it wrong? Come on. That's
Well, she was on some Zoom call recently. Just if you know
She-
what I'm talking.
she-
If you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, she was performing in Washington like last weekend or something like that. And I didn't get tickets. All right, I will disappear and then await your count.
all right. One sec. I just want to make sure my iPhone's mirroring. iPhone in use. Oh, there. Yeah, I knew that. There we are. Cool. All right. Okay. In 3, 2. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Apple Vision Show. It's episode 26, and I'm Sarah Lane.
And I'm Eileen Rivera. Hi.
Hi. We've got the same names we had last week, Eileen. I guess everything's
We
going
do.
at least that well.
We do. I'm a bit distracted today because I was previous to the show. I was watching, and we talked about this in the pre-show, the Olympics. I've been watching something called the Gold Zone on Peacock, if you have that, and it just kind of shuttles you through like, here's the important gold match right now, and this match, and this, and different sports. Like I was watching beach volleyball and surfing and fencing, like all within like 15 minutes. It's pretty cool. But the biggest thing too, I also was super distracted because, and we're going to talk about it, I actually have Apple Intelligence on my phone, everybody.
Do you?
I have it.
Now,
Hey, Siri.
how did that work? Okay. So let's for everybody who is not aware of what's going on, this actually just happened in the last couple of hours as of this recording.
Exactly.
And there's a beta version of iOS 18, which I have, which is iOS 18 beta 2, but that's not for developers because I don't have a developer account. So you obviously do, but someone else who's actually in the Daily Tech News Show Discord also has one, but said they got put on a wait list for Apple Intelligence.
Right. So
how did you get it?
Yeah. So I downloaded 18.1. And then when you download it, and well, you have to wait to get approved to be downloaded, which took like minutes. I'm actually downloading 18.1 on my iPad now. And then when you download it in settings, you will see Apple Intelligence and Siri. So when you click on that at the very top, it originally said join the wait list. So I clicked on that and I waited 40 minutes, you guys. I ate my lunch. I was prepping and literally I saw a notification here. I'm like, oh my gosh. And so I haven't used it yet because we are live on the show, and literally 5 minutes before we went live, I'm like, oh crap, here it is. So all I did was
and from what I understand, it's not the whole roster of what is going to be part
Correct.
of Apple Intelligence.
Yeah, that's
I
my
think
understanding
at the
too.
outset you get a improved Siri where follow-up questions you don't have to prompt Siri twice.
Right.
Among some other things, but yeah, this is like brand new. So
brand new. I know. I'm sorry.
you can
I
say
can't
you
really
heard it
share.
here first.
I will be able to talk a lot more about it next week, but yeah, I'm very excited. All I've done is to see the bright light around. So, hey Siri, if you're watching our video, you could see it's now all around the bezel of the phone when you talk to her. And then I asked her, what could I do with Apple Intelligence? And she just gave me a prompt. She didn't do anything. She just gave me a Google search. I'm like, okay, but I have to try other things. And teach it.
I love how she's probably like, I'm a little too smart for that. So if you want to ask dumb questions, I'm just going to be my old self. I'm a little bit more grown up than that now, Eileen.
I know. I'm so sorry, Siri.
I'm intelligent.
Please ask me intelligent questions. So I'm really excited. There's supposedly, better, like you said, text and voice Siri interactions. And then I think there's going to be some new features. It says here, I have an article from 9 to 5 Mac that's telling about new features for mail, and some sort of like reduced interruptions, new features for photos. There's just a ton of things that I need to kind of like dive into, but I'm excited to do that. So I think you won't have to wait long is what I'm saying. If you have a developer account, it didn't take that long. So
I don't really know why I don't have one.
I just applied for one and they were pretty there. Here you go.
Well, it's $99 a year, right? So it's not going to break the bank, but it's something to consider. I mean, I given my line of work, I feel like I can probably deal with that. That'll be my first order of business. I'll put it in my notes on iOS. So that's cool. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
You are ahead of the curve. For everybody else who is not in the developer program or even maybe in the beta program, Apple Intelligence, which is funny because so many, you mentioned 9 to 5 Mac. So many Mac blogs out there that are great. Yeah. Mac Rumors is another one. The list goes on. And they often, in the article talking about Apple Intelligence specifically, they'll shorten it to AI, which makes sense because Apple Intelligence, I mean, that's why Apple named it that. But it's like, I have to keep reminding, because when I see AI, I'm like, well, what kind of AI? That's what I've trained myself to do because the term AI is such a huge blanket term for so many different kinds of things, machine learning, large language models, yada, yada, yada. So it's slightly annoying to me that Apple Intelligence is going to get shortened to AI when specifically talking about Apple Intelligence, but also talking about AI. It kind of means two different things. Thanks a lot, Apple. I see you. I know what you're doing.
They're trying to usurp the conversation like normal, right?
Exactly. But anyway, for these purposes, I'll just call it Apple Intelligence, so we're all super clear. But for the most folks, the public, general public, AI features aren't supposedly arriving when iOS 18 initially rolls out, which is expected to be next month, along with new iPhones at an Apple event that is yet to be officially announced by Apple, but pretty much guaranteed to be in the first couple of weeks of September. It sounds like this is according to Mark Gurman over at Bloomberg, who is the scooper of all Apple scoops, that the company is potentially looking at an October release soonest to work out some last minute stuff to make sure that it ships as good as possible. Maybe they're not quite ready for that yet. I don't know. When I read that, because it got a lot of buzz over the weekend, people being like, ooh, Apple not ready, half-baked product. And I'm like, but the new iPhones won't even ship till October anyway. So it doesn't I mean, you also might be like, well, I want iOS 18 and I'm not getting a new iPhone, which I'm in your camp as well. I still don't think it's that big a deal because if you do get the latest and the greatest, then it's probably going to launch again, could be further delayed, but let's just assume this timeline that is rumored is true. I don't know. I don't think it's the end of the world.
I don't either. And just wait till those of us who have Apple Intelligence starts playing with it. We'll see just how much you're missing out on. Right. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna play and have fun with it, but I bet it's not gonna be that groundbreaking. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be interesting, and maybe will help you. But I think you'll be okay without it.
Look at Eileen managing all of our expectations. You guys, I did just get it 5 minutes ago, but I don't know. How great is this going to be?
And then all of a sudden next week, I'm like, this is the greatest thing in the world, you guys. It's changing my life.
Yeah.
And then you'll be like,
I feel like it's probably going to be, I don't know. Maybe I'm just a jaded old tech person at this point, but I feel like somewhere between this is the most amazing thing ever and this sucks is where a lot of things are these days. New product, better. Sure. Better than the other one. Camera better. New features better. But, is it changing my life? I haven't felt that way in a long time. Well, I guess the Apple Vision Pro, I still do feel that way. It's just that I feel like I have very few people to share that with that share my enthusiasm. It's kind of this thing that I'm like, who do I talk to? I mean, I guess I could get on Reddit. There's probably an Apple Vision Pro subreddit, with a lot of enthusiastic people. In fact, I really should have done that already. So, all right. Well, I'm talking myself through it now. Anyway, we've got Apple Intelligence as far as, iOS 18.1 and iPadOS, iPadOS 18.1. Yeah. For devs, out now. Play around with it. If you do have access, like Eileen does, and certain things are standing out to you, we would love to hear about it, because we'll definitely revisit all of this next week once Eileen actually has some time to play around with it and figure out what's cool, what works, what's yet to be shipped in a later version, which still apparently may not happen until the spring. We might not get the full Apple Intelligence even after the public gets iOS 18. Let's call it October at this point. There are features that aren't expected until the spring. So yeah, I think it's it's a marathon, not a race, not a sprint.
Yeah, it's it's how you finish too. Like if this turns out to be better than other AI offerings, it won't. This time that we're waiting won't matter. It'll just be the talk of the town. So
yeah,
again, how you finish. Are you going to get the gold or are you going to get the silver?
Who are you asking me?
Oh, well, I'm asking Apple. Really, are you going to get
a little Olympic, a little Olympic tie-in here?
Exactly.
We were talking before the show started about how we're Eileen and I and Amos all watching the Olympics, each in our different way. And that is not specific to Apple products, of course, but certainly. With my Apple TV and my YouTube TV subscription, I'm enjoying things very much. YouTube TV, besides the fact that they keep hiking the price, is just a great product. I love it. I do not miss cable. It's like I have cable. It's just, you've got everything. Please don't raise the prices again, Google. I would love that. I would love that. It was $50 and now it's 73. I think it's $72.99.
Inflation.
And every month, everything. When I get my PayPal notification on my phone, I'm like, $72? What was that?
Yeah.
I didn't buy anything for $72.
You forgot. You're like,
YouTube TV, right? It isn't free.
No. Damn it.
I know. Another kind of fun thing that launched last week, just under a week ago, is that Apple Maps launched for the web. So if you are an Apple Maps enthusiast and you use it on one of your devices, you've got a web option. This isn't really something that I'm going to take advantage of, that I can really think of, because I just use the native app on Mac or my iPhone or in CarPlay in my car. But, maybe you don't have an Apple device. Maybe you want to use Apple Maps. Maybe you don't. But here you go. This is an easy way to access it for anybody.
Yeah, I thought I was going to be able
connection, you can get there.
I thought I was going to be able to log in with my account, but I don't. I personally don't see it. If you see it, how to log in, let me know. Because then I thought, I'll have my stuff that I've previously
like your
visited
favorites and everything. Well, it is a beta product right now.
Exactly.
As I'm looking at it, because I besides just sort of knowing that it's there, there's not really much I'm compelled to do with this. It does not appear that it's something you can log into. This
Yeah,
looks
because
like
that's what I like about Google Maps, right? Like Google Maps, like it will, I can save and favorite, and then I see it on my phone. So when I'm in my car, I've got it already, right? Like, so this is a little, and like you said, it's a beta, so it'll probably all come, but I guess baby steps. But I was like, oh, maybe if I log into Safari, all my, my accounts are there. It'll just log in. No, not yet. So it's not quite, I don't think, useful yet until you're able to log in. So if you can, and I just don't know that, please let me know. But I was clicking around and I was like, wait, how do I get to my account? Which I haven't really used that. I do use Google Maps more than Apple at this point. So I would like to start using Apple Maps more. I think they've gotten better. But
yeah.
And
I actually, particularly in my car, which is when I use Maps the most, I prefer Apple Maps just because of the way that this is a very little thing, but the way that if I'm listening to a podcast or the radio, Google Maps will pause that. And then I get my stuff, and then I'm sorry, strike that, reverse it. Apple Maps will pause, and I'll get my update, and then it's a more seamless experience. And Google Maps is like just slightly clunkier. I don't know. I mean, I also I get in my car, I make sure my CarPlay is all set up, and then I just, on my phone, or actually I have a Siri button. It's not a Siri button, but it activates Siri on my steering wheel as well. So either my phone or my steering wheel, I'll tell it where I want it to go, and it'll open Apple Maps as the default. Google Maps does work in CarPlay perfectly fine. They're very similar. And every so often, for reasons that I don't understand, I somehow trigger both. So I get like a very similar female voice, one after another, being like, at the light, turn left. At the light, turn left. Where I'm like, oh my God, just the one.
Wait, what? That would be a little disconcerting. I did turn.
Yeah.
Wait, you're telling me also to turn.
Yeah.
Well, they have Apple Maps.
I know what, the one other thing that, and this might be just I don't know, maybe it's my car problem. Google Maps is always slightly behind. So if I'm somewhere, often I sometimes will put on navigation, even though I know how to get there. Sometimes because I'm like, if there's an accident, I want to be rerouted. Or I'm just kind of like, I'm kind of head in the clouds right now. And so it's like putting on subtitles, just a little something, to help me along. But if I am actually in an unfamiliar place and I don't know where I'm going, or I'm not totally sure like where the freeway entrance is or whatever. And that does happen in LA somewhat frequently just because there's so much driving to be done. Google Maps sometimes will be just behind enough that I'm either like turning at the last minute, which is dangerous, or I miss it. Where it's like, at the light, turn left on 4th Street. And I'm like, I just passed 4th Street.
Yeah.
Like, now I got to make a U-turn, proceed to the route. And I'm like, could you just catch up, please?
Yeah, sometimes there's like a fork, right? And you get off on the exit and it's A or B. And usually I know where I'm going, but if I don't, sometimes it'll say B for the longest time, but then all of a sudden switch to A. Well, I've turned down B because you didn't tell me earlier enough, which is annoying.
Right.
So that's happened.
There was one, and again, Los Angeles traffic, probably pretty specific, but all big cities have these weird things. There was one morning that I was going. It was very early, and I was going to this park to run around with my dog. And you get on the freeway. The freeway at that hour of the morning, the freeway is totally the fastest way. Midday, you want to avoid the freeway. It's horrible. But, like as the sun's coming up, you're in good shape. So I'm on the freeway and it was rerouting me to just a way that I never go. But I was like, all right, well, it obviously knows something that I don't because there was some freeway ahead of me. And I'm like, maybe there's an accident up there or I don't know, there's a slowdown. So I take it and it's fine. I mean, I'm sort of like, it's sort of as the crow flies, like I'm going to get there. But it had me cross. I was turning left from like off of the freeway onto like it's downtown LA. It's hard to explain, but it was sort of an overpass that wasn't a freeway. Yeah. And I had to turn and that road was like 4 lanes, and I had to get in the right lane within half a block and then turn right. And there's like fast traffic coming at me, and they don't have a light or a stop sign or anything. And I was like, this is a terrible thing to have me do. I did it eventually, but it was sort of a harrowing turn where I was like, I don't want to do that again. I don't know why you had me do this.
Like, why is that an option? You just put me in danger. God.
I know. I meant to like be like, I want to report this as like a really bad direction, and then I forgot about it. So I'm telling all of you guys now.
Yeah,
don't
there
do
you
what
go.
I did.
It's on record. So Apple Maps has these really cool guides. I was just kind of like going through it, like, best places to eat. And it's curated by various, they have their own guides that they make themselves, or they're partnering with like this place called Infatuation. But then if you scroll down, there's like Apple Music guides, Bloomberg guides, Calm guides, the app Calm, and so forth and so forth. And when you go in there, they're partnering, like, if you go into the Calm, best places to meditate in Los Angeles. And then they give you like, here are these places. This is where I'd like to save. Like, okay, they've said, and I already know this place, the Huntington Museum. Great. On Apple Maps, I'd like to just save that somewhere on the website so that I can remember this is a good place. This is what I do with Google Maps. So that, I think that's what's missing now. They have these very cool guides that are like, dude, do this, go here. I'm like, great. I'm not going to remember that if I can't, say, where was that place that they told me to meditate? Yeah. Anyway, I think they're coming along with some stuff like Lonely Planet. There's Louis Vuitton city guide. They've got all these city guides. They've got places, music recommendations and food recommendations, but they're just on the web. So it would, I'm sure it'll evolve because I'm sure that's feature request that's already on the table, but it would be great to do that on the web, not just on, your phone, because it's I don't know. That's a habit I do. I don't know about you guys, but that's what I do. I go on the web first, and then, it's on my app when I get in my car. So anyway, cool upgrade.
Yeah. You're probably a better planner than I am. I almost never do any of that until I'm sitting in the car, and then I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta like, what's the address?
Oh really?
Yeah, I know. I mean, I'm sitting in my driveway, like nothing bad has happened yet. Usually I'm in there, and then I'm like, oh yeah, okay, let's figure out what we're doing. And then I have to open up the text and be like, what's her address? Look through my messages. Yeah.
Well, sometimes I
I don't know how many times on iMessage I've been like, remind me your address again, when I could just like go to that thread and search for the word like my house or address or, barbecue or something to bring it up. But yeah. And then when people say the same thing of me, I'm like, dude, just save my address. Stop asking me. How quickly we forget when we have information at the ready.
I guess you can. Oh, never mind. I'm not going to say that. I'm mistaking these features on this Apple Map. But anyway, it's a fun way to look and find things. But what I normally do is when I save stuff on Google Maps, like say Koreatown, and I know I'm going to go to Koreatown, but I don't know where I'm going to go. That's when I open up my, that's when hopefully I've saved a bunch of stuff, saved a bunch of options, and go, oh right, I wanted to go here. Okay, let's go here. That's how I use my maps to remember certain places. Yeah,
totally.
So,
anyway. I do the same thing. That it is helpful, and even that some of the curated stuff that you were mentioning, that Apple is wanting to do more of. Some people are like, well, I mean, really, like the 10 best places to meditate, in Los Angeles. It's like, yeah, I mean, it's not going to appeal to everybody or even apply to everybody. But it might, I don't know, strike a chord or inspire you to go somewhere, for a reason you might not have thought of before. I like stuff like that. It's like a music playlist. They're not always totally tailored to my tastes, but it's like, oh, sometimes I can get into it, and I just never would have otherwise. I wouldn't have thought this on my own.
Okay, so just for those who don't want to meditate, how about quintessential Las Vegas lounges? There you go. That's a polar opposite of meditation, maybe.
What's a lounge? People. Like a bar?
Like a bar,
like a cool bar?
So
or like a
example,
hotel lounge?
Yes, like a speakeasy bar or a bar,
okay.
just a kind of cool, maybe Rat Pack kind of feeling, Right. I feel like that's what a loungy bar. Yeah. So in case
if something calls itself a bar and lounge, I'm like, okay, we probably have like plushy booth seating or it's a little bit like it's not like a, divey pool table kind of a place. It's something maybe a little swankier. I mean, if anyone's going to do that, it would probably be Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, for sure.
There you go.
So
what's the best Vegas lounge? Are they ranked in order of popularity?
They're not. See, so that's another thing that could be really good that they could upgrade. They're just kind of, I think they're doing it in, oh no, it's not even in alpha order. It's just here's one bar, the bar shop cuts and cocktails, then easy cocktail lounge, then nomad library, then delight. It just goes one after another, after another, and after another. It's not even by location. It's just kind of random.
You could do a lounge crawl and just
you could do a lounge crawl for sure.
Or the day. None of these places ever close, so.
Unless there's some like Formula One event going on or something like that that's taking over the city, or Super Bowl, who knows? Anyway, that's Apple Maps.
There you go. Gosh, I'm glad I haven't been to Vegas lately, Eileen. I don't know. It just sounds hard. I
think it's more welcoming than like when I was a kid and my parents would drive. I grew up in Southern California, and then we'd drive over to Vegas for like Thanksgiving
or something. Yeah,
it would be like a weekend, and there would be nothing for me to do as a kid. But nowadays, like kids have plenty to do,
family friendly. Yeah, all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
And to the point, like walking around on the Strip, again, depends on when you're there and what time you're walking, but it's like stroller city. It's families. It's family time. And which is great. As long as you guys are keeping cool, it's fine.
And apparently Vegas gets a lot of really quality foods like shipped first before even coming here to Los Angeles. So like say fresh seafood, meat cuts and all that stuff. So that's why there's a lot of really good restaurants. I like Vegas for food, but then it's also very expensive. Super expensive. But,
very expensive. Yeah. Just getting, from one hotel to the other, you think like, it's like probably walkable. It's like, it's never walkable.
No.
The taxi situation is just,
yeah.
But,
hot.
sometimes is walkable, but yeah, you really gotta plan. And boy, can you spend money there. But yeah, I've been there for, birthdays and, or like, even like, I don't know, friend getting married, that kind of stuff. And it's like, we don't even like gamble or like go clubbing, like we're just like go out to a nice steak dinner, have a nice bottle of wine, and we're like, great, see you in the morning. That was so fun, let's all get some sleep.
The things we do.
Oh boy. Well, I downloaded macOS Sequoia. I keep calling it Sierra. Apple, I don't know. Maybe we have to figure out a non-California name next time. But Sequoia, the beta over the weekend, I've got some thoughts. So after the break, I'm going to tell you all about them. All right, we are back talking about macOS Sequoia Beta. We talked about it last week, Eileen, and I was like, not a great idea to install it on my work machine, which is the machine I'm on right now. So I installed it on my MacBook Air, which is an M1, so it's different than this machine, which is still Intel processor, my Mac Mini, and it was fine. It was so easy, and there were a couple of things that were cool about it. And I was like, you know what? I actually do want this on like my office machine, my main man. So I installed it over the weekend, no issues at all. I did sort of the same thing you did, where I was like, install. It's going to take a while. Went to the gym, came back. We were good to go, and. There are some features, but I'm just going to focus on a couple for the purposes of the show, and we can talk about them more as I play around going forward. But the first one is iPhone mirroring. This is great. Yeah. So for people who are like, well, can't you kind of do that already? Sort of. This is like iPhone mirroring plus. So right now, got my iPhone, it's sitting next to me on the desk, and it kind of always is when I'm kind of going to be sitting here, at my workstation for a period of time, because there's, I've got photos on my phone that they're synced with photos on my computer, but I don't know. It's easier to, some things are just easier using mobile. And what is nice is that when you've got Apple mirroring going on, which is, all you do is just like enter a couple passwords, the two talk to each other. And then once your iPhone is unlocked, you actually have to like put it to sleep. It's like it's either in one place or the other. And so then you've got your iPhone view up on the screen. It's not unlimited window sizing the way that it would be with, a browser window or any other window on Mac OS. But you can make it bigger than the iPhone Pro Max, which is the size that I have. So it is not a lot, but let's call it, it's a solid inch something bigger.
Okay.
Well, it's about,
okay.
It's just, let's call it half an inch on all sides. So,
okay.
Kind of, an inch diagonally, it's larger. So that's, there you go. And very crisp and looks great. And what's nice is that you can't, it's not like a virtual machine. So if I open the Photos app on the Mac, unless I'm missing something super obvious, like I can't like drag that onto my Mac desktop. It really is still, it
just
is
mirror. Real mirror.
It really is a mirror, yeah. But you click around. I was browsing Instagram this morning. You can obviously use your keyboard to, if you're replying to somebody's DM or looking at your email. All of that can be done from the computer, which is really cool. It's limited. It really is still a mirroring thing. Now, as far as the practicality of this, besides me going, this is really cool, and I can make my iPhone not only kind of just be on, because I've got it's a 28 inch. It's not the hugest screen in the world, but I have extra screen real estate, just to kind of have that up in the corner. Do I ever have the situation where my iPhone cannot be sitting next to me on the desk? Not really. Not really. Because it has to be mirrored anyway, so it's going to be around. It's really it's a view thing. If you truly just don't want to have something that is unconnected and untethered to your computer that you are looking at along with your computer, if you just really want something, up in front of you, pretty cool,
okay.
Fully functional. I mean, you just use your iPhone. It's as if you just stuck it to your screen, but it is better integrated. So I like it. I'm gonna give it a try and see if there are other things that end up being super convenient about this that I'm just not thinking of right now. And again, as everybody's situation is different. So if you're like, Sarah, this is the perfect thing, you're not even saying it, you don't realize it, just send us an email. Feedback@applevisionshow.com.
I was just thinking about, like, is it easier to figure out, like, I don't know, for my own purposes, sometimes, may sound lame to some people, but sometimes picking pictures on Instagram, it's harder for me to see on my phone versus seeing on the desktop. So if you have it mirrored on the desktop, could you like, oh, I like this better. I could see the detail better on my 28-inch monitor, and then upload it to Instagram in that way, like maybe, or I made some touches to it or something. I gave it a different filter or whatever. And it's hard to see on your phone versus on your desktop. I don't know, little things like that could be kind of interesting to be able to do that instead of, I can't really see it on my phone, Right. And it's just me because my eyes are going bad, but I'm just trying to think what else I would, essentially need it for, but because you could get also, texting app. Yeah.
There are a variety of apps that are designed for mobile differently, than the web experience, or just don't even have a web experience. So there you go. It's, I mean, you're not giving yourself a web experience, but it's sort of mimicking it a little bit more. Also, that keyboard integration, that's huge. Even an iPad. I mean, I need an external keyboard if I want to do anything that's just beyond like browsing, my social feeds. I hate typing on an iPhone. I do it when I am not near a computer. Otherwise, I'm cradling a laptop on my lap while I'm watching the Olympics at night because I'm not typing like 24/7, but it happens often enough. Even just, if you text me and it's 9 p.m., it's like, I just want to, it's just easier if I have a full keyboard because I'm a fast typer, but not on mobile.
Yeah. And I have to tell you, last night I was trying to do show notes on my iPad with my keyboard. And this goes back to Mac OS versus iPad OS. I gave up. I was like, oh, where do I change the file name and all of this stuff? And then it was just faster for me to like walk over to my office, put the doc up on there and boom, 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 get the links and do it. It's so much faster doing it on my Mac OS versus trying to do it on my iPad with my keyboard. Sadly, I was like, literally last night I was like, oh, still something I can't do with just my iPad and my keyboard. And I shut it and I was like, great. I'm just going to go to my office when Seven goes to sleep and then I'll bang these notes out. So there's just like, it doesn't seamlessly work all the time.
Right.
Still.
Yeah. There are a lot of things it's like, it still feels to me like, and I mean, I know people who, very good friend of mine doesn't even, I mean, I think he has a laptop somewhere, but like doesn't use it. He does everything on his iPhone and he doesn't even have the Pro Max. He has the Pro. So it's a little bit smaller.
So is it our age? I don't know.
He's our age, same age.
Oh,
well, give or take a year. But it's just and Huan Tui Dao, who's often on Daily Tech News Show and one of the co-hosts of Android Faithful, she's obviously not using iOS, but she talks about how she does a lot of coding on mobile. Like some days, like the majority of her work is all done on mobile. And I was like, really? I mean, that's awesome.
Interesting.
But I'm just like how do people choose the smaller form factor? Now, there are many ways it's zippier. The app experience just makes more sense for your brain. I'm not saying like, oh, bigger computers are better. Just for me, having something like the iPhone mirrored on my screen, and I'm kind of talking myself through this just right now, because now I'm just thinking about it as like, yeah, that does make a lot of sense. Now again, so many of these apps on my phone are also macOS apps, so me being like, oh, to DM somebody and have a full keyboard on Instagram, how great, but like I can do that on the web version of Instagram. But at one point, Instagram didn't have a web version. So I know there are plenty of situations where this is still going to come in handy. It's kind of cool because it's cool. That's sort of where I'm feeling about it.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else that you're like super stoked about?
The other one, I don't know how stoked I am about it because I think it's going to be a big project, but the Native Passwords app. So this is new in Sequoia. And this is designed to take a third-party app management program like a 1Password or a LastPass. There are others. Those are kind of the two biggest ones that I hear about the most of. I am a LastPass customer currently. We've got a group account with Daily Tech News Show. So a few more bells and whistles, I think, than the old personal account of mine had. But for the most part, it's just third-party password manager. You need a new password. You use I use LastPass to generate it. I don't know what the password is. LastPass saves it for me. It's kind of clunky though. I've over the years I've gotten a little bit better at how I know that LastPass sometimes gets wonky with things. Where I'll have multiple entries, or I change my password and then I got to go into LastPass like. For my banking, for example, it's like I was in there recently and I was like, why do I have like 3 passwords for Bank of America? Because I changed the password just for my own, to sleep at night every few months. But I don't know what any of those passwords are. And I'm like, but I'm replacing the old password. How do I have multiple entries? Anyway, not a perfect system. Also, LastPass specifically as many of us who either use it or just follow the news know, had a huge breach, and was not. It wasn't last year. It was the end of 2022, I think. I think it was November 2022. Big issue, and caused a lot of us, especially those of us who have a ton of passwords in there, to be like, oh man, this is going to take a while, to either figure out what accounts just aren't relevant anymore and take them out of LastPass. I've got logins to things where I'm like, I'll just never go to this site or use the service again. Maybe it doesn't even exist anymore, or I don't even know what it is. And then there are others that are important, like banking information, certain, Amazon shopping sites that I frequent regularly. It's the my Gmail accounts, because I've got a few of them, all that stuff. Anyway, the idea of bringing that all into Apple is what Apple is doing with the Passwords app. And it is designed to take everything, which you can export. I can export a CSV or CVS. I forget which one it is. From LastPass, import it into Apple. Is that going to be seamless? I don't know. I'm a little scared to try, but I spent some time before doing that. I spent some time within the Passwords app, just kind of seeing, all right, well, so what's in there right now? Because I have a fair amount of stuff that is saved on my iCloud chain.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pass
Same.
chain, pass keychain. So, everyone says like, well, pick one and stick with it, because you don't want passwords all over the place. Because then it sort of defeats the purpose of having, this like password manager where you're all organized and you got stuff in different categories. And so I'm like, maybe that makes sense. Now, some people might say, you're giving Apple too much control. That's what Apple wants. But at the same time, I like the Apple ecosystem. I am okay with Apple having a lot of control over me, because I like things to be organized, and Apple does that really well, especially with iCloud. I'm a huge iCloud user. iCloud is it's part of my daily operational life, Monday through Sunday. So I'm thinking, Eileen, maybe this is time. It might be time for the great migration, which will give me the excuse to also go through. I'm looking, even this is within the Passwords app itself. It's like, why do I have 3 Airbnb logins and they're all associated with the same email account? It's like,
that's
I don't
strange.
know. Yeah, and that's not even LastPass. It's like, none of this stuff is. It's still wonky. They're all kind of wonky, but I would like the wonkiness to be centralized.
Yeah.
So I don't have to like wonder.
Place.
Or, when you type in, let's say you're like, I don't know, you're on a new site and it's like asking for your credit card information because you're buying something, and you start typing and it's like, oh, do you want Sarah Lane that lives at this address? And it's like, there's this drop down and there's like, I have like all of these options because I've saved information in various places. It's like, I would like that to be more streamlined. I just feel like it would just make my brain feel more organized.
Yeah. No, that's true. Now that the Passwords app is like on the beta, I kind of looked at it and I saw, oh, okay, like there's, compromised passwords and things like that. But I don't know. I'm on the fence about migrating, but to your point, it probably, as you're telling me, like, it might just all work better, just like the way I love how these AirPod Max work better, with all of my Apple devices, and just little things like that just make it a step up,
Yeah,
so
it's true. You can argue both sides. It's like good to diversify, but it's like, and I don't think LastPass is going away anytime soon, or maybe even in our lifetimes, but it's like, well, Apple really won't. And and they're, like when I got my I always want to call it iPad Pro, my iBuds, what's wrong with
AirPods? Your AirPods?
Yes, my AirPods. God. I'm like, it's earbud, but not. It's Apple branded earbud. What is it? I had jobbers for too long. I'm still getting used to the new way of life. And the jobbers worked fine. Had an app on the iPhone, Bluetooth worked. They were just as seamless as the AirPods are for the most part. But somehow the AirPods just feel more integrated. They feel like an extension of, when I go out on a walk, or I'm using them right now for the show. Because it's summer and I'm sick of over-the-ear headphones. I'm too hot, and they just are more seamless, just that much more seamless. So I'm kind of thinking the same thing about passwords. The reason that I said I'm not really super pumped about it is because I've got the same thing where it's like your password has been compromised on this site, where it's like I don't even know when and where that happened. And sometimes I will, because on the macOS app, for example, I'm looking at my LinkedIn login. And if I go ahead and hit the edit button, it'll show me the password that's otherwise obfuscated. And this is a password that when I was young and naive, I used all over the place. Just because I was like, no one will know this. It's like, it's not even it's a nonsensical thing, alphanumeric. But I reused it. But I haven't done that in a really long time. Like, I guarantee you this is not my LinkedIn password anymore. So I'm like, okay, go ahead and delete. Just get it out of Apple's system. Okay, good. But I have like 100 of those. So it just turns into like a weekend project that's not that fun.
Yeah. No.
Like, you're going to feel so much better once you vacuum, but you just don't want to.
No, nobody wants to do this. Nobody wants to do this. As you were telling me about security, I just, when I was watching the Olympics, Apple ad, have you seen the security ad where people are on their phone and there's some they kind of fly in a security cam really close up to this woman who's sitting on her couch. She's like, oh my God, but I have Apple security. They have this whole 30-second ad that's really touting their security. So
I haven't seen
just
it.
like we saw, just like we saw in the keynote, the WWDC keynote, all they kept to me, I kept hearing security.
Yeah.
So here's the gateway to their promise of better security. So
I mean, that's another part of it is Apple. Apple's doesn't have a perfect record, but as companies go, privacy and security is something that Apple is uncompromising on, where certain other companies, have more leaks in general, or just different ways of approaching this. So. Yeah, TBD on that, but I'm feeling like this just might make more sense. Also, with LastPass, there's a Chrome extension because I'm mostly using Chrome, and that's fine. It works fine. Or I could just go and log in as a tab using the web, and on iOS there's an app. But again, native apps, when it comes to Apple puts a lot of thought into them to make them just work a little bit better. So that's where we are on that. All right. Should we talk about some rumors?
Yeah, let's talk about a few rumors. There's a few out there.
There's a few out there. First one, Apple TV Plus. A lot of people don't have it because they don't want to pay for it. Maybe they're already paying for other streaming services. Maybe they just don't feel like there's anything there that's worth paying for. If that's you, totally get it. All streaming services are not equal, and unless money is not a worry, most of us have to pick and choose. But we might get a little bit more of an affordable option, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, just as you were talking about YouTube TV and the price hikes, I mean, that's not immune to all of these streaming services. So Apple started at $4.99 with no ads per month, then went up to $6.99, then went up to $9.99 in late 2023. So what if we were to tell you they would have a $4.99 per month option, but with ads? What would you do? Would you guys sign up for this for the the offerings that Apple TV has? Now, I got to tell you, now I have Amazon Prime, and when they put ads, I was a little disturbed, but I think I'm getting used to it now, and I'm not going to pay another $2.99 a month to get rid of ads. I'm fine. It's kind of annoying, and sometimes the ads aren't really at the right place, but it goes by really quick, and it's not that bad. Because I already pay, a fee, so they're not going to make it horrible for me. But they do serve up the ads. So if you're paying $4.99, you get some ads, but that's like a whole $5 less. As long as the experience, like, it's right before the show, and maybe once or twice during the show, but like further apart. I mean, depending on how long the show is, I might be okay with that. For the cheaper price. I don't know. We'll see. But that's what the rumor is.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me that there wouldn't be just a completely free tier, because it's Apple after all.
Yeah.
And as we talked about last week, it sounds like the Apple TV department is trying to cut down on costs. Having people pay for things is something that you want. I remember I don't remember exactly what year Hulu launched, but you paid for Hulu or you had free Hulu. I've never paid for Hulu. It's always just been like, I get what I get. I remember what apartment I lived in. So let's call it like 2010-ish, like 2011, because I remember watching like a couple of somewhat, I don't know, like shows that no one else I knew was watching, just because it was like available on Hulu. So I'm like, let's watch this series kind of thing. Like, some like obscure thing that was like an original BBC show that, but which can be kind of fun for discovery.
Totally.
I remember that, Hulu then launched with, it was like, there was a middle tier. I don't even remember the exact details now, because this is like so many years ago, but it was like Hulu launched a tier that was, it had ads, but you still had to pay for. So it was like, I think like the free tier went away completely. I don't know. They may have moved stuff around since then, but, and everyone was like, wait a second. So it's like, you get ads, but you still pay? That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, that's pretty normal now.
Right.
I mean, with YouTube, you still can, have a free YouTube experience, which I do. I don't pay for premium. And I know, you and Tom are big YouTube consumers. I've got a lot of friends who are like, how do you not pay for YouTube Premium? How do you deal with the ads? And I'm like, I don't know. You just say skip as soon as it lets you skip.
But shouldn't you get, since you do YouTube TV, shouldn't you get a pass? Like, should you get premium? Oh.
No,
I didn't know
they're
that.
Two totally
two
different
separate
things.
Entities. Okay,
they sound similar, but they're
well, for
totally
the price
different.
you're paying, you should get premium with the price you're paying. Anyway, whatever. That's what I think.
I mean, thank goodness YouTube TV is as good of an experience as I think it is, because for $72 a month, that still feels like, oh, that's a pretty good deal for cable. Because that's what it is. It's cable. It's exactly the same. It just happens to be served up in a, more modern way, but it works exactly the same with a couple more bells and whistles. So I'm still like, okay, if I think of it that way, it's not over $100, because a lot of, cable packages are for the same thing that I'm getting now. So it's like, all right. But it's not the great deal that a runaway deal like it used to be. But nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
So Apple TV Plus, that's discounted with ads. I don't know. I mean, I pay for Apple TV Plus now. It's discounted. I get a cool discount with Apple Music. Apple Music is free with my Verizon cell phone plan.
Oh. Nice.
Which is really nice. I mean, it's not free, it's like I pay for it somehow. It's just built into my monthly bill, but it's part of, what I pay for. And then I get a discount on Apple TV Plus. Okay. I wonder, I should do some comparison notes to see if an ad supported version would bring the price down a little bit if I went that way. I don't even know if I can take it out of my cell phone bill. I don't know. That's another weekend project. But for those of you on the fence, this is, at least another option. I think that's good.
It could be. Yeah. We'll see if it really becomes a thing, and, let us know if you would pay for it. Because there's some really good shows. By the way, did you finish Presumed Innocent?
I did. And Eileen, okay, so this is an Apple TV Plus original, and we're not going to spoil it, but this is a book and a movie that has already been in the world for quite a while. Right. The movie was starring Harrison Ford. I think it was 1990. I mean, this is
90s. If I watched it, I don't
remember. It's an ending with a very, very dramatic twist, and I'm not going to spoil it, but if I did, it's been spoiled. Okay. Yeah. I've seen the movie because I remember it. I remember Harrison Ford. It's a court case movie. Like who done it kind of thing. Yeah. But I don't remember what happened. I don't even remember if I saw it in the theater. Like that's a long time ago. So I was watching this totally blind. All I remembered that it was sort of like someone's accused of a terrible crime. Did he do it? And we don't know. Yeah. And you don't know really until the very end. And when it happened at the and it's like the last 5 minutes of the show. Yeah. And then you're just like, oh my God. And I think I told you a few weeks ago, Eileen, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I know what's going to happen. I was so wrong.
Yeah.
Same. So wrong. So
same.
wrong.
So it was funny because I was watching it and Tom did not watch it with me. My husband, Tom, he sat down and watched the last 15 minutes because there's a big courtroom, sort of the last remarks, and Jake Gyllenhaal's character did a pretty great job of after watching, I'm like, how could he have done it? Whereas the other guy on the defense was literally his argument was just that was crap. And then so Tom was like, yeah, of course Jake's character is innocent. And then when the ending was revealed, he's like, wow, I did not. He literally was like, I can't believe I just watched the entire show in the last 15 minutes. And I'm like, yeah, but you didn't get to the build up. You don't even know these people. But he was still very impressed, even though he only watched the last 15 minutes and got,
you can't watch the last 15 minutes of that show and be like, oh yeah, I got it. It's like, no.
He was
because
impressed.
they try to throw you off the scent every which way. Throughout all of the 8 episodes. 100%. You suspect everybody, at one point, except the person that it was.
Yeah, anyway. That's what I thought. Anyway, I thought they did a good job. I'm excited to see what season 2 is like. I think, it was just one of those solidly well done whodunit, and for those of you who remember the book and the movie, maybe I don't know, it would be interesting to know if you still like the show, even though maybe the ending. But I thought they did a really good job.
Yeah, I did too. It was one of, I love stuff like that, because you're trying to figure out all right. There's going to be a big reveal and it's going to not be the obvious thing. So how are they going to twist this one? I love stuff like that. True crime, fiction or not. Good show. If you're looking for a new show and you don't want to pay for Apple Plus outright, that ad-supported version could have you watching Presumed Innocent, perhaps at some point. Again, these are rumors, rumor mill. Speaking of rumor mills, a clamshell iPhone may be coming as early as 2026. I'm laughing because it just seems like, I don't know. If they said 2025, I'd be like, 2026. I'm like, let's talk about this in a year. But the rumor is, this rumor will not die. The idea that Apple's, working on a foldable, working on, something that a lot of the rivals are already, deep into with consumers loving them on a lot of levels. I love this. I am the only reason that a foldable device isn't for me right now is just because I want to have an iPhone, and the iPhone don't fold.
Yeah.
Try as I might, cannot fold. The idea that it could not only be more compact and fit into things better. I mean, this guy, I love the size, but I mean, half of my little, crossbody small bags that I use when I'm hiking or whatever, this barely fits in there. Definitely doesn't fit in any of my pockets. That's just a recipe for disaster. It's falling out or, otherwise not secure. So I love that. The smaller form factor on the go And then, potentially an extra screen on the cover screen on the outside, which I can't imagine Apple wouldn't do, because that's just a cool thing about foldables that everybody else is doing.
So I have two phones, and most of you guys know I actually have the Galaxy Flip 5, and I use this for work purposes, and then I use my Apple iPhone for pretty much everything else. But what I do love the form factor of the Fold, and when the new ones came out this year on the Samsung side, I thought, oh well, maybe I'll just upgrade. I'll get the S. But now, since they upgraded the camera and there's some cool features with the 6, I think if I upgrade this, I'm just going to stick with the Flip, because I love how different it is, and I love that I'm learning new habits with this phone. I don't use it all the time. Again, my primary phone is my iPhone, but I love the innovation, and the stuff on this front screen is awesome. I'm telling you right now, I love that front screen, using it. More so than the actual phone itself. So, this it's actually really long. It's almost too long in a way, but folded like this, I like it quite a bit. There's quite a bit of apps that you could use on this. Texting and emails and camera and all that.
Every
stuff
time you hold it up, and I haven't played around with one, it looks like a Game Boy,
it does, doesn't it?
Game Boys? It does. It just has really that like little cute gaming device on the go look to it, and that's not a bad thing. It's I like that. And you can actually record like this, like a camcorder, and stuff like that. I'm holding it kind of like in an L shape for those of you who can't see, and that's kind of fun too, because you can see the screen, and I don't know, it feels like a camcorder kind of camera. So anyway, having options. Form factor options within one device is just, why not? Even if you never closed it, even if you were it's like now you just have a nice big device. I don't know. I don't know how you can lose. Well, I guess you can lose if if it gets creasy and breaks down and doesn't hold up over time. That would suck. But otherwise, I don't see how you lose with more options within a single device. If I could,
no, I agree.
I don't know if I could fold up my desktop monitor and stow it away when I wasn't using it. I mean, I don't know. That's sort of a dumb thing.
I don't know when you would
I would ever do that. But if I could, and it just, I don't know, was easier to transport kind of thing. It's like that all just, I feel like that's just a win for style and functionality 100%. In general. Yeah. All right. We were talking about some content. Sounds like another Apple TV Plus show, which I did not finish the first season of, Eileen, and I don't have a good reason why. I don't know what's wrong with me. I just sort of forgot about it, and I keep forgetting about it again. But that is Silo. It sounds like you got through the whole first season, right?
I did. I'm really interested. It feels like it's been a long time since I've seen it, though. But just like it's going to be a long time since Severance by the time that comes back on air. But Comic-Con also, there's a lot going on this weekend. Comic-Con was this weekend. The Olympics was launched. Yeah. Now we have Apple Intelligence on our. Oh my God, there's a lot happening. Anyway, Silo season 2 is coming back this November, so a little bit sooner than Severance, and I'm very excited about it. I think. I think there's a couple of new cast members that are joining the show, but if you watch the show, let us know. But it's a bit of a bunker situation, and these people that are living in this silo are led to believe that you will die if you leave the silo. And there's some people that decide that they want to leave because they know that it's a lie. And then people watch this event of somebody leaving, and it looks like they die when they leave the silo.
Right. Which is why, most people are like, all right, well, this is just where we live now.
Yeah. Because it's toxicity in the air or whatever it is that's killing people if you leave the silo. So it's an interesting mystery. It's Common is in it. Rashida Jones is in it. Rebecca Ferguson. Anyway, it's a really great cast. And I know, I believe it's based on a book, but I'm very excited to see it return in November, and I'll be watching that as well.
I remember, so it's coming back before the season 2 of Severance. It also aired it's season 1 after Severance. Yeah. Because I remember I lived at my old apartment. Yeah, so it was like, I think it originally aired like mid 2023.
Yeah, I have more recollection of this show than I do of Severance, only because I feel like Severance was a lot more complicated and there's a lot more layers, whereas this was pretty much, are you going to die out
I'm
there?
going to have to watch Severance season 1 in its entirety. Just almost I kind of want to. I mean, I remember what happened, but just all the little details, lots of little details. But yeah, Silo, interesting costume design. A lot of beige and nude. Not nudity,
almost
but just
like
people
prison form.
People
like
wearing just a lot of beige and cream colored things, to the point where I was like, why do they have to do that since they're in the silo? Like, they're already underground. I mean, let them, get creative. But yeah, no, that's I'll have to revisit that. It'll go on the list with all the other things I have to do right after I vacuum my apartment.
Same.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess before we close out, I did want to talk about these Beats Solo Buds really quick. I'll keep it quick. A couple weeks ago, I mentioned it because I was excited. Their ambassador is Jenny of Blackpink, right? And they're very affordable. And, in the past, I've actually had Beats Pro buds, which I did enjoy. And I used these. These were my husband's when my AirPods broke down and I kind of was in between, right? And then in the middle of all of this, I got these awesome Air Pro Max from a very good friend of ours, Lamar Wilson. So I use these extensively. But going back to these new Beats Solo Buds, which are $79 in the store or on Amazon, they're pros and cons here. I'll tell you the big pro is that it's very small and it's very sleek and the battery life is amazing. I haven't charged this in several days. Like I'm not using this all the time. The color is fantastic. It fits really well in my ear. I really love the way it feels. And like I said, the charge lasts a long time. This is that the sound quality is just not as good. It's not as good as the Pro. I don't feel I need more of a heavy bass, and it's very light. It's more trebly,
tinny,
tinny, and it doesn't compare at all to the AirPod Max at all. I prefer this. And by the way, I was gonna try and use these for the show today, and before we went live, Amos and I were testing, and we were having all kinds of issues. Like it was trying to use the Beats Solo Buds for everything, the microphone and for the listening. And so it was just fighting my Mac OS. And by the way, too, as it relates to Apple versus Android, because this has been touted to use for Android, you have to download an app for an Android, and that it becomes cumbersome. But once you download the app, it works seamlessly, but it works better with iOS. Just not in the way that I was going to do for this show. So whereas where I'm using my AirPod Max right now, it just works and there's no problems. So it is affordable. And so you get what you pay for, right?
Yeah, right.
But if you are the kind of person that might lose something, this is super small. Like I would be careful that, like I'm worried that Seven, my puppy, is going to put it in his mouth. So I have to make sure I put it somewhere. It's not just like on top of the coffee table and he's just going to grab it. Oh, it's a fun chew toy. So again, pros and cons. It's what you can afford, what you really want. But at the end of the day, I don't like the audio experience. And that's the most important thing. As much as I would tell you to go get the Beats Pro before, because these are great. I just I lost a bud and they're older and I think, they're a couple of years old. I haven't.
Yeah, you need those every time you open.
I know.
You get a funny audio duck. They both want to fight you.
I do. They both want to fight me for the computer. So there you go. Anyway, it's not a loss. I would give it a 6 out of 10 if I were to rate this. Okay. But nowhere, it's
not a great score. If you were, studying for finals, you don't want 60%. But yeah, okay. Yeah, like you said, you get what you pay for. And I always tell people, especially, because people sort of ask, I don't know, when someone's like, oh, Sarah's a tech person, ask her, I'm like, well, are you like an audiophile? Do you listen to a lot of music? Does this matter to you? Spatial audio, like that's a pretty cool technology. I know, I mean, most people don't care about it, besides it being like a little parlor trick type thing. And like with me lately, just because I'm so podcast heavy these days, and I mean, a lot of podcasts have like very well engineered audio, and there's music, and you do still want like really good headphone experience. But for a lot of just like talking things, you don't need expensive anything.
No,
you just want to know what they're saying. So it's kind of like, be honest with yourself. You're not going to build a 5.1 surround sound system in your living room unless you really care. There's just no point, and a lot of people don't care. And if you care, great, go nuts.
Yeah,
so,
exactly. So anyway, that's my quick review of the Beats Solo. I'm not disappointed that I have them, but now because I can compare with more premium devices, that's why I say what I say. But you might love it just the way it is.
Indeed. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. As we have mentioned throughout the show, if you have feedback, if you have questions, if you have something to add, if anything struck a chord with you during this here show, do send it our way. Feedback at applevisionshow.com. And thank you in advance. It's always nice to know what y'all care about out there. As well as, what we all care about, so that we make the show that you want to hear. And we're going to do it all again next week. And until then, we wish you a wonderful week of Apple enjoyment and festivities. Apple Vision Show, episode 26 in the can. See y'all next week.
Woo, we covered a lot of ground this week. There was a lot to cover.
We did cover a lot of ground, and I felt like I was like, I don't know, like half my brain is missing. It's like, it's in there. And, do you ever have a day where you're just like, everything's coming out backwards?
100%. It was yesterday, actually. I couldn't remember anything.
What are these called?
I literally said something like, you put the thing in the thing. And Tom was looking at me like, the thing and the thing. I'm like, I don't know. You know what I mean? He's like, no, I don't. And I was pointing to something. I don't even remember what it was. He was like, okay, whatever. Bye. Like your brain is mush.
Don't you ever feel like you're playing a game of like, what's the $10,000 pyramid? Remember that show where it's like, you're climbing, and they're like tree, and you're like, no, it's a firefighter, and they're like ladder, and you're like, yeah, ladder. Like, but like sometimes I feel like just in real life, I'm like, these they're not iPods, earpods,
yeah.
And you're like, AirPods? I'm like, yes, that's it. Yes, AirPods.
Well, you just need
that's the very obvious word I couldn't think of.
Sometimes when you're thinking, you see a bunch of things and it just doesn't come out. So you just need the other person that's like, I know what you're trying to say. I'll say it. You know what I mean? To help you out on that. But that happens to me all the time now. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm trying to say half the time. I'm like pointing. I'm like, I'm literally grunting, this. And he's like, what about it? You put the thing. And he's like, what thing? I'm like, the thing.
Like, or by my gesture. Where it's like, there's like a word and it's not even an obscure word.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's a word that you're like, this is the only word that's supposed to be descriptive in this way. Like, there's not a synonym for this word that I can use, but I can't think of the word.
Yeah.
And so I just I use a word that isn't appropriate just because I'm like in the middle of a sentence and my brain is just like, I don't know.
It just came out.
Yeah. I had this actually happened to me more than once. I don't know what this means. It has not happened lately, but the word predictable. For some reason, I had this weird block with that word for a while. And I remember explaining it to somebody once and I was like, okay, the word, when somebody's going to do something and they do it anyway, they are. And like the person looked at me and was like, predictable? And I'm like, yes, thank you. And they were sort of like, that's like not really a word that you would forget. And I'm like, I don't know. I did.
I can't help it.
Somehow like, I am predictable in that way of forgetting the words. Like, oh, God.
Or like just, what frustrates me too is when I can't remember names of people. Like, for instance, just this isn't someone I would forget, but the Wolverine guy, that guy, that guy, like everybody knows Hugh Jackman, right? And that's a bad example, but like there'll be times where I'm like, who am I trying to talk about? What was I trying to talk about?
Mm-hmm.
That guy in that show. How many times have I said that? And I could see their face. I could see them so clearly, and I just can't remember their name. I hate that so much.
That happens to me sometimes when I, sort of in the middle of the night, I'll be having a dream, and dreams are just weird, So it's like a dream with like random characters in it. Sometimes they're real people. Sometimes they're like a mishmash of a bunch of people into one person, or or just whatever. And I'll wake up from the dream and be like, oh, that was a dream. But I'm kind of going through the details and I'm still not totally awake.
Yeah.
And it's like, who was that? Like, what's that actor's name? Yeah. Like, and I get kind of frustrated with myself. Instead of just being like, Sarah, just go back to sleep. I'm like, sort of like going through the alphabet. Like, I think it starts with a D. Daniel? No, it's not Daniel. It's just like,
whatever.
Yeah. That's a great time to work through some stuff brain-wise, Sarah. 3:30 a.m. Perfect time.
Oh, I could barely think straight at 3:30 a.m. I'm probably just hallucinating at that point if I'm up.
Well, you mentioned not wanting Seven to eat the beets. But otherwise, puppy update. How do you do this weekend?
I feel like he's just growing up. He's getting to the teenager phase.
He's so much bigger.
Phase. He's so much bigger, yeah.
So much
he doesn't
bigger,
fit on my lap. I mean, like, I can still carry him. He's light, but like his legs fall off my lap. And he's like, I know this is not comfortable anymore, Mom. I'm like, okay, sit on my lap. It's fine. He is starting, like, he's so smart, but he's doing the like, yeah, I'll come over now. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And then later he's like,
I think for myself.
Yeah. He looks at us like, I'm not going to do that right now. Yeah. No. Come? Yeah. I don't think so. So he's getting to that age, right? Where he kind of reluctantly comes sometimes. I'm like, are you serious? Like, he knows his name. He knows sit. He knows the basic commands. When we're outside in the backyard and there's too many things that are distracting, I get a little less, he's got to be able to come eventually, but right now he's only 3.5 months. So I'm like, all right, whatever. You just don't have it all yet. But when it's a controlled environment in our little porch area and we've been doing training, I'm like, you don't just look at me and think no. He literally has this face. He's like, I think not right now. Yeah. No.
I have other plans.
I'm going to just chew this rope. Like, it's cool. Like, I'm not going to do anything bad. I'm just not going to come to you right now. I don't really want that treat. Like, oh my God. And he gets we're at a point where he has FOMO. So his playpen is in the living room. And sometimes if we go in the kitchen, he can't see us. Oh no, he wants to be in there with us because he had a little taste. Like he could be in there sometimes with me. I'm making coffee or whatever. But sometimes I'm like, dude, you just be over there. Like, and I gotta do my thing. He doesn't like that. And then when he can't share food, he doesn't like that either. I'm like, oh man, he's getting like Tom gave him an apple twice. And now he thinks he should always get apples every time.
Right.
It's like, no, you don't.
It doesn't take much where they're like, this is our routine.
Yeah.
And you're like, no, that was a treat. And treats don't happen, on a regular schedule. They happen when you're good.
Now, he's really good with meeting people and other pets. But now when he sees people on a walk, he's like, we need to meet them. I'm like, no, we don't always meet people. He's like, no, we meet everybody. It's like, no, they don't necessarily want to meet you. And he's like jumping. Yeah. I'm going to jump because we need to meet them. They need to meet me. I'm Seven the dog. Because he's had really good positive experiences. And sometimes we're just like, no, we're going to keep going. And he doesn't like that. So there's a couple of like, I don't want to do that. I want this. And we're going to do that. I'm like, here we go. I don't think he's a dominant dog at all. but he's trying to kind of push the boundaries basically right now.
That's what,
so
yeah.
we're
I
seeing
mean,
that.
dogs do
and that's
that.
what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Otis is the same way. Otis is he is not an aggressive. I mean, dominant. Yeah. I mean, besides jumping on kids, which is a bad habit that I just haven't been able to break, and doesn't always happen. It's just sometimes he's just like, kid acting weird, jump. And parents tend to not like that, even if the kids don't start crying. But sometimes they do. But we actually regressed a little bit, and I blame the 4th of July because of the fireworks. Because not only was that the weekend before the 4th, because it was in the middle of the week. It started, because weekend, everybody's got them already, so he already started to wind himself up. Then, the 4th itself was just, I felt like we were in like a war zone. It was really dramatic. I mean, even I was like, I hope no one starts a fire. Gosh, I can't go outside right now. This is crazy. But then it continued, not at that level, but just, we didn't get any booms over the weekend, so hopefully everybody's they got it out of their system, but we were getting that kind of like for the rest of July after the 4th, here and there. You never knew when, but it was always at night.
Yeah.
And, he was it was like he was getting progressively worse because it was like...
Poor thing.
Like it just wasn't ending. And so I let him get up on the couch a few times because, I tried to... He never was on the couch when I first adopted him. And then I just stopped caring once. And, after like a year of him being with me, got up on the couch, and then he was on the couch. And it actually doesn't bother me, him being on the couch. But if I have anybody over, it's like there's not room for all of us, or even if I want to lay down and like spread out, it's like, he's a big dog. So when we moved into this house, it was like, no, we're not doing couch. And moving is always a great place to reset because it's like he's not used to being on the couch. So if that's the new rule, like there's a lot of new rules, it's a totally different place. The food is, you eat food in a different place kind of thing.
Yeah.
But because of the 4th of July, I I even let him sleep in the bed at one point because he was like so freaked out that I was just like, okay, let's get through this, Now it's like he does the same thing like that you're saying Sev does. Like he'll look at me and he'll look at me and then look at the couch because I'm on the couch, and then look at me and kind of like raise an eyebrow, and I'm like, no. And he'll like look at the couch again and kind of start going towards it, and I'm like, no, go to your bed. And because his bed is like 4 feet away, same room, everything, and he'll like walk to it and kind of look back at me like, oh, I don't know if I want to go all the way, and I'm like, get in your bed, and then he'll like sit down and lay down right in front of the bed. So it's like, I'm almost there, and then I have to get up and like be disciplinarian.
I told you to get on the bed.
What in the heck is wrong with you? And if I take a shower, his new thing is he wants to be in the bathroom on the bath mat while I'm in the shower. Is this ruining my shower? No, but I'm like, get out of the bathroom. Like
Sawyer
this is so weird. What is the matter with you? Like
actually, all our dogs did that, and we didn't really tell them not to. I just, especially with Sawyer at the end, I just had to step over because I was like, you're old enough. I mean,
right.
There's
like,
a certain age where I'm like, whatever, but before that, like, dude, move, Yeah.
Right.
So,
it's there's certain battles that I'm just like, I don't care that much. I could be like the best dog trainer ever and try harder, but I just don't care that much.
Yeah.
I also have, my shower has a curtain that it's not see-through. So it's like, I'll open the curtain. I'm like, and sometimes Ralphie the cat's in there too. And they're like, hi, like we're right here. We've been here the whole time.
We've been here waiting for you. Yeah. It's weird. Cause some dogs like Django, in her youth, she took that as a sign as like she was in charge. Like, oh, you let me up on the bed. I'm in charge now. So then for years we didn't let her up. And then when she got older and she was like, she just got it. It was like, okay, you're allowed, So there's a point in time when we're like, okay, I guess these rules, you've been a good enough dog and you're not going to take advantage, then I'm okay with it. But there was always a point where no, 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 until, okay, you proved to me that you're not going to be an a-hole. So, okay, you can get up on that. But yeah, there was some times with even Django, she was so great that like, I was like, girlfriend, no, you are not in charge. She's like, I am. I'm up on the bed. I'm in charge now. You do what I want. I'm like, oh God, all right, you're off. And then she'd ask a bunch of time, would be like, no. And she did give the pouty look that you were talking about. Like, well, like, no, you ruined it. You ruined it by your behavior elsewhere, which you don't understand. You ruined it. So you can't get up on the bed. It's just like, oh.
Isn't that funny how it's like, I mean, there's so many times where I'm like, Otis, you're such a dopey dog. Like, burr, burr, burr. But it's like, he knows.
They know.
On the inside, I mean, he might not be, a Mensa candidate, but like he will, like, for example, when I grind my coffee beans in the morning, I just have a little grinder, I don't grind them for that long, but he's like, it's loud, she's distracted, and I can do something for like 20 seconds because her back is to me and she's, like I'll turn around and he's eating the kitty food and I'll yell at him and he'll go scurrying, but he's like, it was worth it. He also tried to eat a loaf of olive bread yesterday that I got. Some nice olive bread from Tartine, which is not cheap. A loaf of bread.
Not cheap.
It was in a plastic bag that was sealed up on the counter. I had gone.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did an errand, he's left at home. I come back, and I'm like, hi, like, aren't you sweet? Oh, you've been in bed the whole time. Turn the corner, look at the kitchen. There's a big bite taken out of my olive loaf, which has been taken out of the plastic bag unceremoniously. And the only thing I could laugh at was like, you didn't realize it was olive bread and you didn't like it.
Oh,
that's why you only ate one bite. Yeah. Because it's, it's olive. It's like even some people like, you have to like olives. I don't think olives are a real dog treat type thing. So he probably took a bite and was like, oh, this isn't what I thought it was.
Gross.
And then just left it there.
Left it on the floor. Oh my God. So we have a similar story. This was with Ray and Sawyer. And we left them and we literally went to the grocery store, gone for maybe an hour. Came back home. In the middle of the living room was the plastic of the bread and no bread. And there was a full loaf of bread. And Ray was
did you have a cam like to see who the culprit was?
We didn't, but Ray was always the one who jumped up on counters. Sawyer never did that. But I like to think that Sawyer probably got some when Ray took the bread. He probably got a little bit of something because she pulled it off the counter and they both probably went at it. But I will never forget that. We came home and we're like, oh, I guess we're not leaving bread on the counter anymore. At least not, because they were fine in the house. It's just she went for the bread. And we knew it. And one time she tried to go for fish that was on the counter. We're like, oh, okay, we got to be careful with what's on the counter. But it disappeared. Yeah. We were like, wow. So to this day, I know for sure Ray got it. But did Sawyer get any? Or was she just like, no, this is all mine? I think he got some. Because it was a full loaf of bread. And I mean, she could eat the whole thing. But I'm pretty sure they
probably got at least a couple bites in.
Yeah, for sure.
The funny thing is that I don't always buy like a fresh loaf of bread. That's kind of like if you refrigerate it, it gets kind of weird. Like you either have to like eat it or freeze it, but it's often, on the counter. Yeah. I've been doing this for years. Never had an issue with him with that.
Oh, so he wanted this. There was something in the smell.
Yeah, I guess so. He was, when I walked to the bakery, he was with me. Like that's what we did yesterday morning to get the bread. And then it was like in the backpack that I was wearing, on the way back. So it's like, I don't know what he thought was so special about the bread, but
it was bread you've never bought before, right?
It was bread I've never bought before. That's true. Okay. That's true. It may have just smelled like something, or he just felt mischievous. At least he doesn't do what he did within the first year of me having him, and that happened more than once, which is he would turn on the gas stove, the burners.
Oh no!
I don't know why. It was like he thought there was food on top somehow. Because sometimes like I leave like my cast iron pan up there, but like, you know, there's not food in it. It's been used and washed, and then I just leave it up there.
Yeah.
And he would like his paw would hit it, and I'm like, how did you even do that? Because you have to like put it just so that it lights. And then I'd come home and the burner would be on. So for a while, every time I left the house, I would pull all, because you can usually with stoves, they'll just pop off.
Yeah.
I would have to pull all of the handles off and put them in a drawer so that he wouldn't burn my house down.
Oh my gosh.
He got over that. It happened more than once though, to the point where I was like, okay, this is crazy. You know, like
that's scary.
Trying to start a fire.
And also like he could have gotten burned, you know, himself, you know, like
I mean,
tipped over,
it's just,
like
the list goes on of you know, very, very frightening. But yeah, now he's like, stovetops aren't actually fun.
I don't like the stove anymore. Yeah, good. Yeah. Like he's moved on. That was me and my puppy phase. Like I don't know what that is. I don't know.
I don't do that.
Why would I do
don't
that?
Chew your shoes anymore, but I do.
Yeah. Seven loves he's the only dog that we've had of the 4 dogs now that love shoes.
Yeah.
So this is new. This is another new experience. I'm like, oh, like he literally grabbed one time. I was like, oh shoot, we don't have shoes hanging out anymore. Wearing them and they're safely tucked away. But one time I wasn't wearing my shoes and he just grabbed my shoes and ran in the playpen. Like, oh, but I could chew it in the playpen. I just can't chew it out here, right?
Right.
You told me I can only chew things in the playpen, so I'm going to run my shoe in the playpen. I'm fine. We're like, oh, yeah, no, that doesn't, no.
Well, just only
puppies
destroyed one pair of shoes of mine.
Oh, really?
Sorry, I'm eating a gummy vitamin right now. But they were like fancy shoes, like shoes that I would like wear to a wedding, you know, once a year type thing. So they were in sort of a funny place. Like they weren't in my like everyday closet with the shoes that I just kind of like am wearing. I mean, really, like in any given day, I'm wearing one of like 3 or 4 pairs of shoes. Like all the other ones could like be in storage and I wouldn't even care most of the time. So it was like these shoes were in like my office closet, which wasn't closed because it mostly had just like office supply stuff in there. But the shoes were in there. And I came home one day and they were like nice shoes. Like one of my, you know, only like what I would call a fancy pair of shoes that I paid a lot of money for. Yeah. Came home one day and he had just torn them apart. Oh. And I was so mad. But I mean, the shoes were not going to be fixed. Yeah. And they were also like kind of unique. Like I couldn't just like go get them again. You know? I don't know. I was so upset. And I think I was upset to the point where he was like, that was not the reaction I wanted. And he never did it again. He never dealt with shoes again. Yeah.
So okay. Well, sometimes it takes a loss for it to be a win on the other side of the fence. Oh, that's right. Oh, it is. Our dogs.
Well, everyone, hope you've enjoyed our little after show. Rich with dog tales and regales. So we'll go ahead and let you all go about your business now. But hopefully we'll see you next week.
Yes, we'll see you all next week. Is Amos still here? Did he like our dog stories? Is he like? He's like,
Amos is like, I'm out of here.
All right. Yeah, 7 came home from doggy